Uh,
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, and welcome. I'm very pleased to be joined by Jennifer Hamilton. Jennifer is Deputy Director at the California Hydrogen Business Council and is going to be a speaker and taking part in the World Hydrogen North America Congress, which is shortly upon us, May 15th to 17th. So welcome, Jennifer. Thanks for joining.
Thank you very much, Nadeem. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
So I've seen by your background, you spent a number of years at Frontier Energy around the advisory piece and particularly around sort of some of the safety aspects and stuff. And now you're obviously charged with bringing that to the California Hydrogen Business Council. So could you give us a sort of a background around what you're seeing from the CHBC and what some of your actual sort of goals are coming up over the next year?
Sure. So yeah, I spent very near to 17 years with the Hydrogen Fuel Cell Partnership, which was managed by Frontier Energy. Recently became a national nonprofit, and in moving to the CHBC, looking to bring my background in the technical side of things, safety, codes and standards development, to the advocacy and policy side of things for hydrogen and fuel cells. So it's hopefully adding to my landscape for hydrogen. I just started, so working with the executive director, Katrina Fritz, definitely to be looking at our program plan for the rest of this year and moving into next year. I will be heading up, the policy items for the CHBC, of course, under the guidance of Katrina and all of our members. And there's I think 140 and growing quickly. So we've and it spans across various sectors. My experience at the Fuel Cell Partnership, we concentrated on transportation, and at the CHBC, our members do transportation and stationary and all kinds of other power generation, all sorts of other applications. So really broadening the spectrum there too. So looking forward to learning a lot more in this new role.
Yeah, and the rollout of I guess the HRS, the hydrogen fueling stations, has been going for some years now in California, and we're seeing the beginning of a I guess a comprehensive network. What are some of them sort of maturity stages now that you're looking at in terms of some of the practicalities and the details of actually sort of rolling out what I guess has to be some quite robust zero emission infrastructure.
Yeah, robust is the key. So, one thing that we've seen is the overall capacity of the stations in terms of, how much fuel they store, how many vehicles they can accommodate. And even with that, we're seeing very high utilization of these stations because we have about 15,000, I think, light duty passenger vehicles in the state. And depending on where you are, if your network is got fewer stations in it, that sort of utilization can really put a strain on the station technology currently. So definitely, looking for improvements, advancements in overall technology, larger station capacities, and more stations which are on the way. And the organization I came from does have a by the numbers page that you can see, it's updated monthly. And, that we work closely with the state and the governor's office to, track the progress of that infrastructure. And as heavy duty rolls out, I'm sure that will expand there. There are a few heavy duty stations now for the, relatively small numbers of Class 8 trucks on the road, but boy, that is certainly an area that is expanding rapidly, and there's a lot of development happening there. And of course, with the hydrogen hubs and the ARCHES consortium, which is California's submission for the DOE, solicitation for the hydrogen hubs, I think we'll definitely see a lot more growth.
Yeah. And in that growth, there have to be some sort, I guess, planning in terms of, you mentioned that the heavy duty rollout and obviously using, I guess, the hydrogen hubs as hubs, as it were. From a fueling and safety standpoint, what are some of the issues there that they use different actual infrastructure or pressure, or what are some of
Yeah.
the detail in the devil, as it were, devil in the detail?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, heavy duty is that sector is there's a fueling protocol for those large capacity uh, fuel storage volumes on those trucks. There are limitations currently with the current technology that the passenger vehicles use that needs to be expanded for quick refueling time for those large trucks. And that is under development in a couple of different arenas. The International Standards Organization, or ISO, has work going on with much work that has taken place with a consortium out of Europe called the Pride Project. So there's a lot of, collaboration going on in that field. And then also in SAE International, which developed the fueling protocol that's used at the light duty passenger stations now for retail fueling. So there's a couple different, but linked and definitely, in the family of the heavy duty fueling going on. So that's everything from the actual protocol for the mass flow of the fuel into the vehicle, the hardware, so the receptacle on the truck side, the nozzle on the station side, and all of the componentry, in the dispenser and at the station and so forth, just kind of sizing everything up. And with that comes, some technical challenges and things. There's also work going on for vehicle communication, which currently happens with the light duty vehicles as well. And that is both a safety and a performance aspect to the fueling.
And so what does that actually mean in terms of the communication?
So the station and the vehicle can communicate so that they, the station says, okay, I know you're this vehicle and you have this capacity, and I can use this, formula to make sure you get the best fill possible in the shortest amount of time. And if the vehicle runs into an issue, there are certain signals that are safety related that tell the station you need to stop, and the station has to respond accordingly.
Okay. Sounds good. And in terms of other aspects to the rollout in the coming year, are there any sort of other major issues you see that are also linked to getting the right policy in place?
Yeah, I think, again, being new in this role, and really getting my feet wet quickly, my thoughts are, I just want to make sure that the kinds of policies that are being put forth, or the kinds of input that we give, really make sure we take into consideration all aspects. So, from my point of view, that's from the safety side, the technical side, not to get so much in the detail, but just to help ensure that the policy that is being put forth is considering those things. And so it makes it for an easier pathway, right? Yeah. We don't want to create obstacles, of course, and roadblocks. So, and not that there have been necessarily, it's just as this gets more complicated and more, players coming into the industry and things happening, you just want to, try to avoid those sorts of conflicts and roadblocks. So that's my hope.
I guess that it's about being ahead of the curve. And you use the word safety, as did I, but certainly if there is an accident and there is some negative press, and I guess that there will be real scrutiny on I guess the placement and the safety aspects, and indeed the permitting. And I know that's a big issue and could become a bigger issue if we see a safety issue. So it's really, I guess, about getting ahead of the curve and making sure that we can minimize all of the risks in ultimately deploying this zero emission infrastructure. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, and also, we have some great resources now for safety and for codes and standards education and things. The Center for Hydrogen Safety is an organization that both the Hydrogen Fuel Cell Partnership and the CHBC have a collaborative membership with or relationship with. The executive director there, I've worked very closely with for many years. There's a hydrogen safety panel that's available for project reviews that have an abundance of experience. So there's some really great resources, and a lot of it is making sure that those are known. But absolutely, it's recognized in the industry that any sort of major incident which knock on wood hasn't happened, because hydrogen really does have a good safety record in industry over the decades. And, we work very carefully in the technical side to understand the properties, design the systems so that they can, be used safely and have those safety mitigations in them. But of course, as we use it more and more, the statistics start to shift, and there, probably will be something someday,
Yeah.
but we hope not. But absolutely, that will generate the scrutiny. There's also the challenge of the overall perception, good, bad, or indifferent, of hydrogen itself. Some people have some sort of preconceived notions, and the idea that, as a zero emission option, charging is much simpler or easier, just because people have a general understanding of electricity and kind of plugging something in the wall,
Yeah.
more so than this new fuel that we're using. Hydrogen itself isn't new. It's been around for decades in industry.
Yeah.
What's new is we're using it as a fuel for power generation, transportation, stationary power, all sorts of things. And so, there's a lot of education that still needs to happen in many of, probably all areas of, stakeholder engagement, right? From the general public to the permitting officials, to the policymakers, to, your local neighborhood groups, right? So there's just a few different elements of getting hydrogen into this economy, but we really are going through this energy transition, and it's amazing, and it's really exciting to be a part of. And I really hope that in my new position here at CHBC, I can help to really forward that. So.
Yeah, well, I think you're already doing that, and you're doing that obviously by this interview, this video. So clearly, critical issues that need to be aired, and need to be planned for as you're doing in terms of the policy environment, but also around that outreach and that education. So great work, and we look forward to helping you accelerate the messaging and ensure that there is a safe hydrogen energy transition. So we look forward to seeing you in Houston. What the World Hydrogen Congress is taking place there at the Marquis Marriott, 15th to 17th of May. And thanks to the CHBC for all your support. And we look forward to working together and helping accelerate the hydrogen energy transition.
Absolutely. I look forward to it too. I'm excited. Can't wait to see you.
Many thanks, Jennifer. Take care.
Bye-bye.